Okay, I want to welcome everybody here to my video and my podcast. I've got a bunch of things on my mind right now, so this is kind of an honest journey for me. Um, I haven't made it. I wish I could say hey, I've made it, and here's how you do it. Here's all the step-by-step things you have to do to have this amazing success in your life. All I have right now is that I know that I'm on a journey and I know where I'm headed. Um, I can say this really honestly. I firmly believe that I will make my goals eventually. I don't know what the timeline is. I really don't. I don't know when. I can't say, okay, in exactly 3 months, I'll be a millionaire. I don't know that. I try for that always, and I keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But at the end of the day, I don't really know, but I do know where I'm going to end up. I believe that we have power over that. Um, I recently, I just I hit another big wall today. I honestly did. I hit another big wall, and I was frustrated and I was mad. It's like, this is you always this is really dumb, but I turned on some angry music, and I just start shadow boxing, right? Get my fists up, and I just start just going, and I don't know what it is for me, but it's just I release a lot of stress that way. I release a lot of tension because I think one of the scariest things on earth is to dream. If you really think about it, I just really believe that we are more afraid of what we could become and what we could do and what could happen, and I think we're so terrified of disappointment. We're so afraid of letting ourselves down or hurting, so it's just better not to dream. And that's complete delusion. That's just survival instincts that are doing their best, but frankly, that's not right. That's just not reality. Everything that's ever come good in my life came at massive sacrifice and often came when I was scared or when I just didn't know what to do, or when I really thought maybe this won't work, and then I pushed a little further and then it worked. Um, Anyways, I had this thought today, and I just want to share it with you guys because this kind of helped me get through this wall today. You'll find that I'm probably doing a lot of these just because, for me, it's good to talk about it because it gives me the chance to reflect, and also I just believe there's a lot of power in sharing what you're learning. Sorry, I just had to turn off my speaker there. Apologize. There's a lot of power in when you talk about something and you kind of teach something. Again, I'm not a guru, but when you teach something, it allows you to solidify in your mind. Okay, so that all being said, let's just jump in. That was a whole lot of background stuff. Today I hit a big wall, and it was kind of like this. It went back to the same thing. I know what I'm trying to create right now, and I don't know if the market's ready. I don't know if I'm an expert yet. I don't know if I know enough. I don't know if I'm smart enough to do it. And I got off this phone call, and it was just a really disappointing phone call, honestly. I was really looking forward to okay, this is gonna be a big deal. I had it all kind of built up in my mind, and okay, this phone call, I'm gonna talk to somebody. I'm gonna help them through their problems. I'm gonna help them with their marketing strategy, and it just didn't work. For one, I won't say much about the company, but I don't really believe in what the company sells. I was oh, this is difficult because I don't really believe in this. This is not what I necessarily. I don't know. It's not an industry that I really think is the ideal, if that makes sense. It doesn't conform with my mission. And so it's just kind of discouraging. And then I got off the phone call and I was man, maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree. Maybe this, maybe that. And then it just hit me. I was you know what? I can't control my emotions always. Yes, I can. I can choose certain things, but what I can control is my response to my emotions. For example, if someone were to walk up and just deck you right in the face, you would have a flush of probably adrenaline and anger and everything else. That's not really in your power to control that massive adrenaline rush, right? But what is in your power to control is what you choose to do about it. If you choose to let it get you down, if you choose to let it get you fired up, next thing you're in a bar fight, right? By a similar token, I said I can't choose the. It was difficult. I couldn't really stop that disappointment. And I can try to be oh, I'm not disappointed, and put on this happy face and be I'm going to pretend that everything's hunky dory, and it wasn't. It kind of sucked. But it's okay to admit that things suck. It's okay to admit that things are hard. But the thing is that in between stimulus and response, there is a pause. Stephen Covey teaches this. Something happens, and then you react. But in between that, there's this moment where you have complete, unfiltered power to decide exactly how you're going to respond to that one moment. So for me, stimulus. This didn't go the way I wanted to. All these emotions start flooding me. Brunson, you can't make it. Brunson, you can't do it. You're barking up the wrong tree, dude. This won't even work. And then in that pause, I said, you know what? I get to choose my response here. I'm going to choose to respond by saying, you know what? This is just part of the journey. This is just part of what I go through. This is just one more step. And that failure is fueling my success. I know that some of you are going like, wow, like he's preaching something new. Obviously not. This has been going, like people, you don't have to look far to people that say this, but for me, this is my journey, right? And maybe this means something to you. And the thing about it, do we ever really learn that much new? I don't think so. I'm not talking about like, yeah, you might learn like how to, do underwater basket weaving, as if we're going to quote like Russell Brunson, right? Or you might learn some new skill or something. But learning things that really matter about life, learning the principles of success and happiness and family and all these different things, those things aren't super new. They're really not. They've kind of been around for a long time, and we've been exposed to them thousands of times possibly. For me, like every time I go and like read a new book, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of stuff I already knew. But the problem is that we forget. So this is me offering my reminder. If you are bogged down right now and you're going like, wow, life just stinks, and things that I'm trying to do are not working out, and I just feel like I feel down and I feel out, just remember that you can't choose always exactly what you feel in the moment. I do believe we get to choose our own emotions in a large extent, but the initial reaction to bad things happening, we get to choose how our emotions affect us. Emotions, I think, will affect us. We have all these chemicals flooding our brain and our body. I don't really know. If you guys know of a secret way to like stop a massive endorphin rush or like whatever those chemicals are that make you feel certain ways, let me know. But I do believe in one thing, that we get to choose our response to those emotions. We get to choose to let them either perpetuate, or we can redirect them, or we can fuel them in a different way, or we can convert them to something else. Anger is a powerful, powerful force, but it just depends on how you use it. It depends if you if you let it just like turn you into rage, I think that's probably not going to help you out. But if you let it fuel you into passion and just drive and energy, it can really be like a powerful motivator. So that's my 2 cents. That's my thought of the day. I want you all to know that I believe, I don't know exactly what this is reaching, but I want you to know that I believe in you anyways. I believe that every person has such amazing potential to succeed and to do great things. You have to find your spot to shine for sure. I don't think everyone can do the exact same thing and succeed, but everybody can succeed, and everyone can live a fulfilling life, and everyone can have true happiness. I really believe that. So that's my 2 cents. This is a short rant. This is me saying, hey, this kind of sucks today, but that's just part of the journey, guys. So y'all take care. Appreciate your guys' support. I've had such a flood of people who have been so supportive of me on the path that I'm on, and I'm just very grateful. So thank you all. Okay, guys. So I don't know. This is kind of cool. So my cousin has been this absolute rock star in life. He's done all these crazy things, and a lot of people actually don't know all of his story. And we don't have time to go into all of it today, but my last segment, you guys were listening to it. I was talking a lot about some failures that I ran into, and so my cousin named Sebastian Griffin. He's done just the craziest stuff. So for one, he's the youngest Idahoan in history to pass a law. Is that right?
Yeah.
You were like the president of your high school. Mm-hmm. Didn't you start like some ultimate frisbee thing as well?
Like coached and played in the ultimate frisbee team for NAMBLA.
Because there wasn't even a team that existed.
There wasn't a team.
Oh man, there's so many things. Like I'm literally there's tons of different things. He like spoke at his graduation, which I've heard I wasn't there, but everyone I talked to said it was like one of the most legendary things that ever happened in the history of Idaho. You know, Idaho's famous for a lot of things, and that's probably like on the top 5. So, so my question is, and we were actually just talking just a second ago, and I was like, I'm sure you've bumped into a lot of roadblocks, and like a lot of people that are listening to this, they're kind of curious. Okay, when things are really tough, like how do you get through them? So like from your perspective, like I don't know, like what's an experience you had where things were super difficult and you pushed through them, and how did you find the power to push through them?
Mm-hmm. Well, one experience, you said it, the passing of the law in Idaho. I passed Senate Bill 1060 in Idaho, and it was for college and career-ready students. And for me, starting as a freshman and sophomore in high school, I learned real quick, oh my goodness, this is going to be my hell. Sitting in classes for 8 hours a day, every day, learning stuff that we can learn at home.
And quick clarification, I mean, Sebastian and I, because we are a family, we share a common thing. What is that?
We hate sitting in one place because we are blessed with the gift of ADHD.
We move and go.
We move, we go, and we notice everything. It's a family trait. But for me, I was like, wow, this class, I don't have to go to school. And my junior year, I can't remember my sophomore year, but my junior year, I think I had like 280 absences.
In your junior year?
In my junior year, from class absences, not days, but class absences. And this isn't something to brag about or anything like that. Like, I'm sure it was horrible for people, but oh well. But for me, I was still passing and I had great grades. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'd rather be interning at the State House or working with attorneys right now or doing something to progress my life.
Highly motivated, and you're
Highly
like,
motivated.
I feel like I'm in a conveyor belt, and I can't really speed up.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a one pace set for all, 150-year-old tradition that needs to change type of thing. So while I was going through with this, because I was a Senate page for that session, I went and presented it, did all these things, and in the Senate side, it was awesome. It was great. We were pushing it through, passing it through committee meetings. I was meeting with all the senators and representatives on it, and it went great. It actually cleared the Senate with...
Like your first attempt, it cleared the Senate?
It cleared the Senate first
really?
attempt, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, cleared the Senate without problems. And then it got over to the House side, and anybody who knows the House side of anything, whether it's national politics or local and state politics, the House of Representatives is like the Thunderdome. They go in there and they're just vicious. And I sent it to a committee meeting, and because I was the author of the bill, I had to present and answer all these questions. And
this is in the House meeting.
In the House committee
and you're, like,
meeting
up
for
there
education.
at the pulpit, like standing up there, they're asking, and they're just like firing questions at you.
Firing questions. And hardcore questions.
Was it like intimidating to be up there?
A little bit, because these are 40, 50, 60, some 70-plus-year-old educated people, and I'm a senior in high school at this point, presenting a dream and a vision of mine. And they were just relentless, which is good. We had to work out the kinks, and with everything, it's got to be for the people as a whole. And so having all those different opinions, it was great. But the problem is they were looking to kill it. Right then, they're just like, something like this, it could be whack for the educational system. And I had to clarify, no, this is not for everybody. This is for the highly motivated, the highly interested in progressing their lives now. The ADHDers, the 1 percentile type of people. And so that was a little discouraging. And then they took it to the House floor and they had a vote. And they actually almost killed it. And then a senator or a representative that I had spoken to saved the day, and he said, listen, let's just amend it.
So they didn't like it as it was.
No, they didn't like it how it was.
They shot it down.
They shot it down. They said it's time to amend it. If we're even going to keep this alive, one senator, or representative, and I won't say her name, but she said, this is a pig. No matter how much lipstick or makeup we put on it, it's still an ugly pig. Ooh. And I was like, and I'm sitting up in the gallery, and she's like making eye contact with me. I was like, wow, I have a choice word.
I've never heard any of this actually. I know any of this story.
Yeah, not very many people do. They look at it and it was this easy thing. It took me 15 weeks of being at the State House 8 to 5, meeting with senators, meeting with representatives, passing something that won't even affect me. That was the biggest part of it.
And if I remember right, has any state ever done anything?
No, we're the first. And now
the first state ever
to pass something like this.
Entered the youngest person in Idaho to ever pass the bill.
And now Oregon and Utah, and I think Washington, but I'm not sure. So don't quote me on this. Don't Google it, because I don't know for sure. But they've been meeting with Senator Thane out of Idaho to have it happen in their states.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're seeing a lot of benefit.
They're seeing benefit already. It's been enacted for 7 months now, and they've already had, I don't know the number, but there's more than a few that have taken advantage of this bill already, and they're opting out of high school.
Okay, so from the get-go, like, start to finish, like, when was the initiation of the idea? How long did it take you from the time you first kind of like, okay, this is what I want to do, to when it actually passed? Do you have any, like, rough idea?
So I had this idea my sophomore year. 2 years prior, they even putting it together.
So this is like a 2-year project.
Oh, it was
like work. And I remember this is when this is me, like, from my memory, I remember when you were going through this, like, it was like, hey, so like, is it passed yet? Or like, nope, it's still in the works. And that, because remember when you first started talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna pass the law really quick. I'm gonna get it done. And then it was like roadblock.
No, for sure.
And I was amazed you didn't quit though, because I was like, okay, like for one thing, you're out of your league, right? Quote unquote, and like as people might say,
these are
like,
the elite type of
people. Like. Who says a sophomore can pass a law? Like, no one's ever done it before. Like, no one in the history has ever done it in United States history, the law that you passed.
Yeah, correct.
And number 2, you're the youngest person to ever try to pass a law in Idaho, or not ever try. Author a law. And no one's ever passed it that's your age.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's correct. So for me as a sophomore coming up with this idea, I met with the chairman of education in the Senate. He said, "Oh, great idea. Thanks for bringing it to our attention." And it kind of was a little bit of a blow off. And I was like, wow, okay. And I went back my junior year and I said, this needs to happen. It's time to make this happen. He's like, okay, Sebastian, this is what I need you to do. You need to get information on this. We don't just throw it together. Like, we have to put the numbers out there, create a survey monkey, and get as much detailed information as you can. So with that, getting as much information, filling out the survey, we had 2,000 responses from students across Idaho because I sent it out to all the superintendents and principals of high schools to be able to get the information. And I brought it back, and he just jumped all over it. He realized that there was a need for it and all these things, but we were too late in the session, my junior year, to do it. So we had to wait a whole nother year and make it happen the senior year.
Because you had to get all the feedback and all the
all
testing.
the feedback, testing, approvals.
What was the student response generally?
So it was interesting. The AP students in high schools were the ones that were all floored and for it. The regular students, I don't know if it was personal vision or what it was, weren't interested. So that's why I say it's not for every student. It's probably for 10% of students maybe, and then 2% that will actually go through with it. Because 10% like to talk the talk. It's the 1 or 2% that actually make it happen.
But that 1 or 2% are the ones that, if they're given the right tools, will probably have the most impact on community.
Oh, for
on a
sure.
large scale. Yeah.
These kids, the ones that were actually geared and floored about it, were ASB presidents, ASB vice presidents, senior class presidents, representatives, like leadership students. I saw a lot of it just through work with state Stuco, student councils of Idaho. And just going through and seeing all that, they were floored. They're like, why hasn't this been a thing? I just bang my head on my desk for 8 hours every day, ready, counting down the minutes till I get to grab that diploma and run. Right. And so it was a long process.
So jumping in, this is what I'm curious about. Why were you able to do it what in your nature or your habits or the way that you handle adversity makes you different than someone who would have failed trying to do this?
Well, I think that's, and Brunson and anybody in my family, or anybody that knows me very well knows pretty well, no is not an answer. Ever. Whether it's taking a trip, whether it's loading up a bus with 22 of us paying $50-something and heading to Lagoon from Idaho, which is a 7-hour trip just one way, they make it happen. This isn't a maybe. No, I don't take that crap. Is it a yes or is it a yes? Because those are your options type of thing. Right.
So and even with the senators, you had, because I noticed this just in your the way you interact with senators. You didn't let them over intimidate you. You were like, hey, you know what? I'm here to make big changes, and I don't really care. We actually talked about this. I mean, me and Sebastian talk a lot, and I remember our conversation earlier that we were talking about how part of it's just not letting people's perspectives of you get you down. It's pretty much it's just the art of really releasing people's expectations, or I hope the senator doesn't think I was too pushy, or I hope the senator doesn't I hope the state doesn't think this, or you're with some big people, and even at that, I mean, if I remember right, you even got the floor to sing Sweet Caroline. Is that right?
I went in there, and one day I was like, man, because there was a lot of contention this last session. There was a lot of big bills happening, and a lot of changes and a lot of contention. That's just the word I can use. It wasn't the sweetest session that there ever was. I said, we need to cheer these people up. And for me, being president at the school and doing all these assemblies and doing these things, I saw what unity could entirely change a whole environment. And what better song than Sweet Caroline? Are you freaking kidding me right now? Yeah. So I went and I talked to the lieutenant governor because she's over the entire Senate. And I said, listen, Janice, it's time to get this going. I am Lieutenant Governor McGeechin. I don't even know how to say her name. I called her Janice. I was like, okay, Janice, this is what we're going to do. We've got to make this happen. It'll floor them. They'll be all for it. And we got them to sing I'm just adding this little funny statement because I just think it's a funny joke and a story, a part of it. One day I was visiting with the lieutenant governor, and I can't say her name. I could spell it, but I can't say it. So we're just going to call her Janice. That's her first name. Lieutenant Governor Janice. She's like, Sebastian, if you ever need anything, you just let me know. And for me, I jump on those opportunities. Jump on an opportunity to make something happen. I was like, actually, I have a American U.S. government final that I can't make. Would you by chance be willing to write a letter to my teacher for this AP class? She, absolutely, get me a pen.
Really?
And she wrote, I have the pictures on my phone, she wrote a card, Dear Mr. Blank. I won't name his name, he's retired now, but anybody knows just by his cough who this guy is. Dear Mr. Blank. Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeechan, we're in Guatemala, here. I think you would agree with me completely that there's no better experience or knowledge that Sebastian could be getting than working through the Idaho State Legislature with all the senators, representatives, attachés, and everybody else. I think that you and I will think very similar in this way, that he's getting more experience here than taking this test. I hope you consider this. Can't wait for a response. Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeechan, or something like that. That's how it went, along those lines. P.S. Sebastian has been a floor having him here in the State House. Thank you for giving him to us for 6 weeks. And I gave that to my teacher, and he literally almost stroked out and died right there. But coming all the way back around, making the full loop. No isn't an answer ever. Like, if you have a vision, if you have a goal, why let somebody else who doesn't have the same vision, who doesn't have the same goal, who doesn't think or see the ways you think or see things, stop you? Create the vision and attack it. Jump on it. And if somebody says, well, this is impossible, okay, well, how do we make it possible? Right. Nothing's impossible. We learn it time and time again. Nothing is actually impossible yet. Soon enough, we're going to have self-driving cars and things like that. It's going to be awesome. But tangents can go all day long. And Brunson knows, and anybody with the last name Griffin, Smith, Davison, Donahue, or Dahlstrom know how to freaking run their mouths. So I'll just end it there.
It's awesome. I love it.